Your kidneys don't shout. They don't bargain. They don't complain. They just work two silent bodyguards filtering your blood all day, every day, even while you sleep. And when sugar is in the system, they're forced into a dangerous mode. Ultrafiltration, like running a high-performance engine at redline for years. The scary part is not the effort. It's the silence. Most people don't feel a thing until kidney function has already collapsed by a terrifying margin. Now imagine this. You stop eating sugar. Not less sugar. Not only on weekends. Completely. The first few hours feel like a negotiation with a craving monster, but inside, an entirely different story begins. Filtration pressure starts to drop. The blood gets cleaner. Those sticky aging molecules, advanced glycation end products begin to retreat. It's not a detox fantasy. It's a mechanical shift in the biology of your internal filtration plant. And here's the twist. The discomfort you interpret as weakness, headaches, mood swings, hunger might actually be your nervous system recalibrating while your kidneys finally get relief. The question isn't, can you endure 30 days without sugar? One, your kidneys, the silent bodyguards, are under attack. Two kidneys, two silent bodyguards. Not loud like the heart, not flashy like the brain. Just disciplined, relentless workers sifting almost 50 gallons of blood every day. As if your body were a city and they were the only waste treatment plant that never sleeps. Inside each kidney, millions of tiny filtration units, nephrons, arranged like microscopic checkpoints. At every checkpoint stands a glomerulus. Think of it as a pressure-driven sieve so delicate it can separate life from poison without tearing. Then sugar arrives, not as calories, as a chemical event. Hour 1. After a sugary meal, glucose floods the bloodstream like trucks racing into the city without permits. Insulin, your metabolic traffic commander, shows up fast, waving flags, shouting orders. Store energy, lock the fat vaults, keep the system running on external fuel. But the kidneys don't get to negotiate. They must filter whatever shows up at the gates. Hour 3, the filtration pressure rises. Hyperfiltration mode kicks in. The bodyguards sprint. They push more blood through the sieves, faster than normal. On paper, it looks like strength. In reality, it's mechanical strain, like forcing a paper coffee filter to handle thick syrup all day. The filter doesn't fail dramatically. It softens. It stretches. Micro tears begin at the molecular seams. Hour 6, the hidden toxins multiply. Advanced glycation end products sticky. Corrosive residues start forming like grime that hardens on delicate valves. They don't just age skin. They age equipment. They stiffen vessels. They inflame tissues. They turn smooth filtration into a battlefield of friction. And here's the cruel twist. Your kidneys don't scream early. They endure. They compensate. They keep your blood clean while the damage quietly accumulates until one day the system can't hide it anymore. So if sugar can push your kidney bodyguards into overdrive, what happens when you remove sugar and finally let them slow down? 2. First 72 hours, the moment added sugar disappears, a civil war breaks out inside your body. Your brain, used to quick dopamine rewards and fast glucose, sounds the alarm. Headache, irritability, a hollow, prowling hunger that feels like danger. This is the CEO panicking because the old supplier just vanished overnight. But deeper in the kidney kingdom, the mood is different. The filtration plant finally hears silence. With fewer glucose surges, the pressure inside the glomerular sieves begins to ease. The blood arriving at the gates is less sticky, less chemically chaotic. One of the biggest villains here is a class of compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, formed when sugars bind and caramelize proteins and lipids. These residues behave like corrosive varnish on delicate machinery, accelerating inflammation and structural aging in kidney tissue. Lower the sugar burden, and you slow the rate of new grime forming, giving the cleanup crews a fighting chance. Meanwhile, the brain is still screaming because sugar swings trained it to expect a roller coaster. High spikes, hard crashes. But as the swings flatten, energy delivery becomes steadier and mood can stabilize. In a controlled 3-week ketogenic intervention, researchers observed an increase in global cerebral blood flow and higher BDNF, a growth and repair signal often linked to resilience and neuroplasticity. It's not magic. It's logistics, more consistent fuel, fewer emergency swings, more room for repair signals to speak. And there's another hidden twist. High refined carb patterns can raise the risk of thiamine, vitamin B1, insufficiency fuel without enough spark. When B1 runs low, the nervous system is among the first to suffer brain fog, irritability, unstable stress responses because it can't convert fuel into usable ADP efficiently. So the first 72 hours feel like chaos. But under the chaos, the filtration plant is stabilizing. And then comes the next question. Once pressure drops, what happens to the kidney's control over salt, water, and blood pressure, the hidden levers that decide how old your body feels? 3. Restoring blood pressure and fluid balance when sugar leaves. The kidneys don't just filter easier. They regain something more powerful, command over water. Meet insulin again, but now, see him as a strict warehouse manager. When sugar is high, insulin storms the kidney control room and orders the pipes to hold on to sodium. And where sodium goes, water follows. The result is a quiet swelling of the system, more fluid in circulation, more pressure in the tiny vessels, more strain on the kidney's delicate sieves. In hyperinsulin states, researchers have long investigated insulin's tendency to promote renal sodium retention. One reason fluid balance can drift upward when sugar stays high. Remove sugar, and that hold the sodium command relaxes. Suddenly, the body starts releasing stored water, like opening floodgates in a dam that's been overfilled for years. This is why people often notice less puffiness, less bloating, and a lighter feeling in the face, fingers, and ankles. It's not cosmetic. It's hydraulics. Then comes the surprise: kidney stones. While most people point to salt or dehydration, sugar is actually the hidden architect behind kidney stones. Large-scale population data suggest that a high intake of added sugar is associated with a significantly greater risk. One report highlighted an 88% higher risk for individuals consuming 25% or more of their calories from added sugars compared to those consuming less than 5%. Fructose, in particular, can alter urine chemistry to favor stone formation by increasing the urinary excretion of calcium and other stone-promoting factors. Now add the final layer: the emergency hormones. Wild glucose swings can act like a false alarm for the body's stress system. Cortisol rises, the night gets lighter, sleep becomes more fragile. Glucose regulation and sleep are tightly linked, and unstable nights can echo back into unstable glucose the next day. Meanwhile, when glucose spills into urine, it drags water with it, turning your bladder into a midnight alarm clock. So as sugar disappears, fluid balance steadies, pressure lowers, urine chemistry calms. But here's the cliffhanger. Once the hydraulics stabilize, do the kidney filters simply rest, or do they begin rebuilding the torn edges of the filtration barrier itself? 4. Protecting and repairing the filtration system. Picture your kidney filter like a white paper cone, clean, porous, precise. Now imagine you don't pour water through it. You pour syrup. That's what repeated sugar spikes feel like inside the nephron. Glucose surges don't just pass through. They change the chemistry of the fluid hitting the filter. More glycation residues, more oxidative stress signals, more microscopic inflammation, like heat building in a machine that was designed to run cool. Over time, the filtration barrier starts losing its perfect selectivity. Not a dramatic rupture, more like the fabric loosening thread by thread. And in this chapter, your body begins a quiet engineering project: reinforcement. When you remove added sugar, the workload drops and the filter has space to stabilize. The pressure storm in the glomeruli calms. The blood arrives less sticky, less reactive. This doesn't mean your kidneys instantly heal, but it means they stop being forced to sprint while injured, an underrated prerequisite for any repair system to function. Then comes the pain you can actually feel: stones. Most people blame salt, but sugar is often the unseen architect shaping urine chemistry toward crystal building. Large population data have linked high added sugar intake to substantially higher kidney stone risk, and the sugar sources aren't just soda cakes. Candy, sweet coffee drinks, and even healthy juices can carry the same hidden payload. Mechanistically, fructose has been associated with changes that can increase stone-forming factors in urine, like higher urinary calcium and other shifts that favor crystallization. And the most important silent metric is leakage. Protein in the urine, albuminuria, is essentially a sign the filter is letting valuables slip out. Research links higher sugar-sweetened beverage intake with albuminuria and CKD risk, and clinical kidney guidelines emphasize albuminuria as a core marker of kidney injury that can improve when the underlying metabolic stressors are controlled. So the filter tightens, the crystals lose momentum, the barrier steadies. But here's the cliffhanger. If the filtration wall stops tearing, what happens to the deeper battlefield systemic inflammation, uric acid, and the slow march toward diabetic kidney disease? 5. Long-term disease reversal and anti-inflammatory potential. Now the story shifts from relief to something more dangerous and more hopeful. Because sugar didn't just overwork the kidney filters. It trained your entire metabolic command center to live in emergency mode. In the kidney kingdom, insulin is the loud general. When sugar stays high, insulin stays high. And when insulin stays high, tissues stop listening. This is insulin resistance the moment the kingdom's radios turn to static. That's how the road toward diabetic kidney disease begins. Not with pain, but with miscommunication. And diabetes isn't a side character here. It's one of the main reasons kidneys fail in the real world. The National Kidney Foundation notes diabetes is the leading cause of kidney failure, accounting for a large share of new cases. Remove sugar, and you begin restoring signal clarity. Not overnight, but measurably, because insulin sensitivity is one of the strongest shields against diabetic kidney damage. Then comes a brutal surprise: gout. Fructose behaves like a clever saboteur. Its metabolism can spike uric acid production, more urate, more crystal risk, setting the stage for joints to feel like they're filled with shards of glass. Reviews and analyses consistently connect higher fructose intake with hyperuricemia and increased gout risk. Now zoom out even further: inflammation. Added sugar doesn't just stress kidneys, it can amplify low-grade systemic inflammation. A meta-analysis of controlled intervention studies evaluated how different sugars affect inflammatory biomarkers, including HS-CRP. So when sugar leaves, the body's fire alarms often quiet down because fewer glycation reactions and fewer metabolic spikes mean fewer inflammatory signals. And the proof shows up in unexpected places, first like the mouth. The WHO links higher free sugar intake directly to dental caries risk across the life course. Remove the fuel, and the bacterial city on your teeth loses its easiest energy source. So after weeks without sugar, your kidneys aren't just filtering, they're operating in a cleaner, calmer biochemical universe. But here's the cliffhanger. If inflammation drops and metabolic signaling improves, what other organs stop taking damage and silence your brain, your eyes, your nerves? 6. Overall benefits beyond the kidneys. By now, something strange happens in the story. You stopped eating sugar for your kidneys, but the entire body begins acting like a machine that finally got clean fuel. First, the brain. Earlier, we hinted at the upgrade: more stable energy, fewer crashes. In a controlled ketogenic intervention published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, researchers reported increased global cerebral blood flow and higher BDNF, a growth and repair signal tied to neuroplasticity and mood resilience. Think of BDNF as the brain's construction foreman rebuilding bridges between neurons, opening detours around old damage. When sugar swings calm down, the foreman can work without constant emergency sirens. Then, the immune system. High glucose can impair immune cell performance, especially the quick, brutal eat-and-destroy behavior of neutrophils and macrophages. In other words, too much circulating sugar can make your frontline soldiers slower to respond. Lower the sugar burden, and immune function has more room to operate efficiently because the battlefield is less sticky and inflamed. Now the eyes. The retina is a delicate city of microvessels. Sugar-driven glycation and oxidative stress act like acid rain on that city-weakening vessel walls, causing leakage and setting the stage for retinopathy. The American Academy of Ophthalmology describes diabetic retinopathy as damage to retinal blood vessels caused by diabetes, one of the leading causes of vision loss. Eliminating added sugar reduces the metabolic pressure that drives this process, especially in people trending toward insulin resistance. And the secondary benefits? They're not cosmetic, just downstream biology. Clearer skin can follow lower insulin spikes and reduced inflammation. Stable energy appears when you remove the spike crash cycle. And with lower fructose load, Uric acid pressure often eases, quieting the gout threat. So the body upgrades everywhere. But here's the cliffhanger. If 30 days without sugar can reboot multiple systems, how do you turn this into a repeatable protocol, one you can actually live with without willpower becoming the bottleneck? 7. 30-day action plan. This is where the documentary turns into a lab protocol. Because quitting sugar isn't a motivational quote. It's a controlled experiment, one that lets you watch your biology change in real time. Rule 1. Eliminate added sugar completely. Not cut back. Not only on weekends. Added sugar is the saboteur that keeps insulin on high alert and keeps the kidney filters running hotter than they should. Rule 2. Stop white flour products. White flour is sugar in disguise, pulverized, fast-absorbing starch that spikes glucose like a silent syringe. Bread, pastries, crackers, many packaged snacks. The same metabolic storm wearing different costumes. Rule 3. Significantly reduce dense starches, rice, bread, corn, and similar staples. You're not trying to starve. You're trying to flatten the roller coaster so your hormones can stop screaming and start coordinating. Now the mindset shift. Hunger, fatigue, irritability, these are not proof you're failing. They are communication. The old system is being dismantled. The new system is being installed. Your job is not to endure pain. Your job is to cooperate with the machinery while it recalibrates. Practical setup. Build meals around protein plus whole food fats plus high-fiber plants. Hydrate consistently. Prioritize sleep like it's medicine. And if cravings hit, don't argue, redirect. Salt, water, protein, a walk. Give the body what it's actually asking for. Because preventive care is a trade. 30 days of discipline versus years of regret. As insulin sensitivity improves, filtration pressure eases and kidney risk trends downward, especially for those on the edge of metabolic dysfunction. If the body is a machine, you are the engineer. And if you want more health stories with real mechanisms, subscribe now.